Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 6 of the Square Table. And it's a little different, I know. Avandro's not actually here in person,
It's a
mainly
sad day.
because I am still feeling like utter crap since the last show. Really haven't gotten much better, so if my energy isn't normally where it is, I apologize. But the show must go on. But yes, to keep Avandro safe from the potential viruses or diseases that I may have at this time, I thought it was best to try this
You're do,
remote
you're
for the
doing
first
you're
time.
doing me a favor because I don't
Yes,
need my
yes.
daughter to get sick, please. That's all we need.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
So
So where do we want to begin here, man?
that's up to you, man. I mean,
Uh,
I could jump right into Ahsoka if you
all right,
really want to.
I kind of want to.
You want to? Let's do
Yeah,
it.
I kind of want to.
So I want to get your opinion on it first. So this is just the first two episodes, and you're not like you don't really
Yeah, you're more the super
know.
nerd here than I am, for
Yeah,
sure.
you don't really know the character intimately, right? Like you've seen her in Clone
Um,
Wars and episodes of Rebels, and you
yeah,
know,
like if you're asking if I've seen ever, like I have not. I've dabbled in all of the animated series, but I've never actually completed any of them.
you are
But I am
literally missing
very
out.
no. I definitely want to. Actually, Abby started Rebels, so I'm gonna definitely try to finish that with her.
Yes.
And yeah, so like while I'm well aware of the character and like I've seen a lot of her big highlights,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. I think it's awesome to have seen. Very similar to like Anakin in a way. Like you've experienced this character, from beginning to potential
Mm-hmm.
end, um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which I think is
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Yeah, she's. We were just talking about this offline before. I hated her in the first season of Rebels. Yeah, where she's like this kid. She was the most annoying, just obnoxious character. And it honestly, I'm sorry, in the beginning of Clone Wars, uh, it honestly turned me off to the series when it first came out. I'm like, I had trouble adjusting to the animation at first because it was one of the first like CGI cartoons from Star Wars, and
And
it
it had
just
a very
really,
unique style for sure.
yeah, it was a real like less realistic looking show. And the first season of Clone Wars for me was a little hard to get through, but once you get past like the first few episodes, um, it's probably one of the best things to come out of Star Wars. Like it just the whole series is just amazing. And the fact that it gives you a view into Anakin's Padawan, you get more of relationships of clone troopers that you don't get from the movies at all. Like these clone troopers have their own personalities, their own character developments. Like this is where Rex comes in,
Hmm.
and like that's what builds on that. The evolution of her in just that series alone, from beginning to the very very end when they released the special season 7 of Clone Wars, was all focused on her. Like that was just like her story after she left the Jedi Order and everything that happened after that, and how she basically saves Rex. Spoiler alert, if in case anybody's never seen this. Basically saves Rex from Order 66, and he's one of the first clone troopers that's able to resist that and still retains his entire personality, his entire knowledge, his ability to fight against that. And it's a great scene. Like it ends with Ahsoka putting her lightsabers down in the snow,
Hmm.
and Vader coming up and finding the lightsabers.
Yes, I have seen that.
Yeah, so like she got so much deeper by the end of Clone Wars that she like you watched her grow up essentially from this kid to this adult. And then in Rebels, you see her take on a completely different like different vibe. She's almost like all knowing. Like she has that like Jedi master like walk, like vibe, like the whole.
And Rebels is right before we're in the live action version, right? Like
Yes,
that's her
yes,
character design from Rebels. Okay, yeah, the
yes.
last one.
So the second to last one is her actual Rebels animation right there. Um, I like it. It makes her look more adult like. Her feminine features come out more. Her facial structure looks a little different. From what I can't tell you where I read this, but Rosario Dawson tried that look for her costume, and it just
Didn't.
didn't work
Yeah, I heard it didn't
functionally.
work. Yeah.
Yeah, like she couldn't move right in it, and the tails were too long, and they would just moved really awkward on her.
Yeah,
So
they
that's when they
have.
came up with that.
I know they've redone them from her first appearance because the backlash was too much.
Yeah,
But that it's like, see, like these are one of those weird things, right? Where I get that functionality and all that,
yeah.
but I mean, we're gonna CGI everything today. You can't just CGI her, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, out of all the things that the eye would really not pick up too much,
I
if you
don't
had to
know.
just cut them in half,
Yeah.
like she has it up to here, and then the bottom ones are.
So
I'm
that's what.
I'm absolutely shocked that was apparently not in the budget or impossible compared to a lot of the
So it's funny that you
CGI
say that.
shit that we've gotten.
It's funny that you say that because that's what they do with Henry Cavill in The Witcher with his sword. In actuality, his sword is only about this long. It's not very long. I can't even get in the shot, but it's like not very long at all. It's probably
Yeah.
about like 3 feet long. They CGI the rest of the blade on, so like
Yes.
to
So he doesn't
make it
kill
like
himself while he's
yeah,
jumping around. Yeah.
yeah. Um, I agree with you. Maybe they could have done something. I don't know. We're not there, so we don't know like how it felt to put those things. I guarantee you
Yeah.
that
I don't
head
know,
thing is
man.
not comfortable.
We've watched the documentaries on how these things are made on Disney Plus, and we
Yeah,
can get a
yeah,
literal entire LED dome virtual reality. But God,
yes,
making
yes.
her
Making her
tendrils or
tails.
whatever the hell
Yeah.
these things are called
So
animate
technically,
properly or be the
this
right
is
sizes.
this is where we're gonna get into technicalities. Everybody laughs because she. So you see brain tails. They're called brain tails in Star Wars.
Okay,
From
forgive me.
Twi'leks. She is not a Twi'lek. She is a different species that escapes me right now. And of course I'm gonna look it up right now. She's a Togruta. Yeah, that's what it was. She's a Togruta. So they look very similar to Twi'leks, but she's a different species. Um, her so after Rebels, so Rebels is great because it's the first time uh she fights Vader one on one, and like she's trying to like they're fighting in a Sith temple. It's like the best episode of the whole series. And like she fights him and she like slashes his mask and cuts the mask open, and you just see like Anakin's like burned face underneath, but then
Hmm.
his voice comes through both the like voice recorder and from the mask, so it's like doubling over, and it's the most eerie, like crazy scene that you see. Unfortunately, like right after that, she's never seen in Rebels again. Like she just disappears. She walks, so like you think the whole temple like collapses, and you think that like, oh my god, both her and Vader are dead. Obviously, we know better because this takes place much earlier on. Um, and you see Vader walk away, and then afterwards you do see Ahsoka walk away, and that's really all you ever see of her again. Until the live action. Uh, she in especially now in this, and when you first see her in The Mandalorian, and when she first showed up, I was like, yes, this is amazing. Like seeing her in live action was great.
Yeah, and the
Seeing
Seven
her fight
Samurai
was great.
references. Yeah.
Oh yeah, all over that episode.
Hmm.
All over that episode. That's basically that the Dave Filoni basically was like, let's take this story that we know a million times over and let's turn it into Star Wars. And that's the episode you get. And that's why it's one of the best episodes of The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Like just
it's
not even just
amazing.
because Ahsoka's in it. It's just because the whole episode is just fantastic. Um, I personally like Rosario Dawson for this. I think she really fits the character well.
Are there people that don't like Rosario Dawson as this? I mean, wasn't
There's
she
always
basically like,
there's always
wasn't
somebody.
she legit the fan, like the
Yeah,
fan cast for the most part?
yeah,
Like that's,
basically.
yeah.
So
So I
there,
mean,
I feel like I remember there being like a whole concept art type of thing where you see her, um, like you see like they like did her in like computer like photoshopped her. That's the word I'm looking for. As Ahsoka, and everybody was like, yeah. And apparently, from what I understand, she's a huge fan. Like she loves Star Wars, and she was like, yeah, I'll do this. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I
yeah,
I can't even like when she was cast, I was like, wow, what a no brainer like
yeah,
home run that
exactly.
is. Like she's a fantastic actress and she looks the part and like yeah,
Yeah,
let's go.
she does. She looks the part so well, and I, I've heard comments of like her acting as Ahsoka, especially in these 2 episodes. She's very like a little like stiff in the way she's talking and the way she's moving.
There, yes,
Um,
there is. I definitely want to talk about that for sure.
she she's doing it on purpose. She's doing it on purpose because it's like the like where I was talking about the evolution of the character itself. Like she grows up so much that by the time she reaches this iteration of Ahsoka, she's already like given up on a lot of her beliefs. Like she doesn't consider herself a Jedi anymore. Even though she can still use the Force, even though she's extremely strong, she does not consider herself a Jedi. She like and that's why like it's significant in spoiler alert for the episodes if you haven't seen it when she asks Sabine, to train with her again. Um that's why it's like it has more of an impact. Like that's why like that scene is more of an impact than most people give it credit for because she gave up on the order. She left. She's one of the few Jedi in the world that just left the order and nothing happened. Like nothing happened to her.
Well, I mean, she kind of left when they all died. So I mean, what exactly is gonna happen to
So
her?
in Clone Wars, she left before. She left because she, believe it or not, if you actually watch that whole, it's like 3 episodes where they go over what's happening to her and what like because she gets put on trial basically, and because of politics, she leaves because she feels the Jedi Order is becoming too politically involved in what is going on rather than being keepers of the peace and voices of reason. Um, so she just like this is not the order that I
Which
trained
ironically
under.
is a great parallel to Anakin.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
like the whole scene. And she just like she basically gives up before she could even complete her real training. And she leaves. She gives Anakin her lightsabers and she leaves. And so like now like everybody sees she has white lightsabers. That happens real later on where she has to basically build new lightsabers again and she can't find kyber crystals because they're far rarer now because the Empire's got them and stuff. So it happens. I think it happens in her book where she gets the white lightsabers.
Hmm.
Um, but I'd have to double check that. But yeah, she's the only one that has white lightsabers. It's pretty significant because they like it's a cool like thematic element. Like white always represents like purity and like she really is like the purest form of a Jedi, even though she doesn't call herself a Jedi,
Hmm.
because she still walks the right path. Her motivations at this point were never politically driven. They are literally just driven to save lives. Like that's her whole goal. Like in Rebels, she goes by the name of Fulcrum, and you never meet her until much later on in the series, and you never find out that it is actually her. She always goes through like a voice changer. Her symbol is actually the white symbol on her forehead. Like that's the symbol you see when you communicate with her through like communications in most of Rebels where she shows up until you finally actually see the character and you realize, oh shit, it's Ahsoka. Oh my god.
All right. So then let me ask you. So with everything, because obviously you've seen it all, you've been there
Mhm.
from the very beginning. Um, she was great in the Mandalorian and Mandalorian 2.5 or Boba Fett, whatever you want to call it.
Uh,
Um,
Mandalorian too.
I mean, come on, Boba. I don't want to. I don't want to derail the
It's true.
conversation.
Yeah, that's
Um,
that's that's a topic for another
so
story.
like, all right. So now the 2 episode premiere has come out, and episode 1 and 2 are out. We've both watched it.
Mhm.
So as someone that's seen it from the very beginning, what are your takes on? I guess we might as well just cover episode 1 and 2 as if they were just one giant episode. So
Yeah,
like, yeah, just
yeah.
what did you like? Yeah, go ahead, take it. Like,
So
dislike.
I love the aesthetic. The world building that they did for this is fantastic. Seeing Lothal, which is where most of Rebels takes place, as a live action planet, and fun fact, the governor that is shown in that scene where he's standing and like he's standing giving his speech on the
Clancy
anniversary or
Brown.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was the voice actor for the character in Rebels. Same
of
character in
course he
Rebels.
was. And
Yeah,
Clancy
so it's
Brown's a god. Like,
he's the best. He's the best. I love him. Um, Seeing Lothal in a real live action setting is and so much. It actually looks better in live action than it does in animation because it seems so much grander. Um, I loved it. I love that part of it. Um, I like the actor choices for the characters that they picked. Mary Elizabeth Winstead playing Hera is great. I think she really fits that really well. The girl that plays Sabine, whose name escapes me right now, is doing very well so far.
Natasha Bordizzo.
Yes, she's doing very well so far. I'd like to
She's
see.
Abby's favorite character, of course.
Of course, of course. All she does is color. Um,
Yeah.
I love that aspect. So far, there are two big things that stand out to me. Number one, if you have watched Clone Wars and you have watched Rebels, this is a beautiful continuation of where Rebels literally ends and continues forward. So far, based on the foundations they're trying to build with these 2 episodes. My
Okay.
fear is that you're going to take 6 episodes to build the story and then give me nothing for the end. Like, all right, now we've established certain story elements. Like, okay, they're looking for Thrawn. They have a
Well,
map to where they think Thrawn is.
hold on a second before you go further. If you're saying
Hmm.
that this is a direct continuation of Rebels,
Hmm.
what did it, so is that to say that this series is actually a prequel series to her in The Mandalorian?
No. So this takes
Because
place
doesn't
after The
Mandalorian
Mandalorian.
take place after
Yes.
Rebels and all
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Well, that's
Yes.
what I'm saying. So if this,
So this takes place technically years after where Rebels ends. Okay.
yeah, I'm just trying to,
Um,
I just want to
no,
get
no,
the
no,
timeline
no, no.
correct.
It takes a place. I think it takes place. Yeah, it takes place. What did I
Uh
read it
oh.
as? I think it's like
Oh,
8 years
stumped.
after episode 4. Um, which makes sense. Yeah, so it takes place after, way after, 9 years. 9 years after episode. They always do ABY, which is after the Battle of Yavin, which is episode 4. So 9 years after that. That's after Return of the Jedi.
So yeah,
But
apparently it
before,
runs along the same timeline as the season 3 of Mandalorian. So that's where
yes,
we're at.
yes,
Okay.
that's where you're at. That's where we're at right now, which makes the most sense.
Okay.
Um,
Hell yeah, big hell yeah.
so I tried to think about it as, okay, well, what if I didn't watch Rebels? Is this still a good story? Is it still a good show? Like, do I have to have seen Rebels to enjoy Ahsoka? The answer is no. You don't have to have seen Rebels to enjoy Ahsoka, but it might seem a lot slower to you as someone who has not finished Rebels.
Hmm.
Because you're only getting bits and pieces of information.
Where those bits and pieces are actually paying off something.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, the whole thing in the Mandalorian episode where Ahsoka is fighting the governor lady that's there that we see in these Ahsoka episodes, and she says, "Where is Thrawn?" Like, that was huge because at the, spoiler alert for the end of Rebels, Thrawn and Ezra disappear. They go into hyperspace because in Rebels you discover there are these creatures that live in space that can travel using, can basically go into hyperspace naturally within their bodies, like as an organic function of themselves. They can literally just go to hyperspace.
And these
And
aren't the giant whales. Is there something
They
else?
basically no, they are giant whales. They're
Oh,
giant
okay.
like
All right. The
they're
giant
giant
whales
like
from
whale
Mandalorian.
squids.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
giant like whale squids.
All
Yeah.
right. Just want to make
That,
sure.
oh yeah, that's right. Grogu sees them
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
hyperspace. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's those. It's
Okay.
those.
Awesome.
So at the end of Rebels, there Ezra is fighting Thrawn, and these creatures attach themselves to a basically crashing Star Destroyer and then just leap into hyperspace, never to be seen again. And that's how spoiler alert, that's how Rebels ends. And that's where this basically picks up, where Ahsoka's heard rumors that the Empire, or what's left of the Empire, is trying to bring Thrawn back because he is the last living Grand Admiral. Technically, he's the only Grand Admiral. And you get the information, like you get that like tidbit of information where if you've watched The Mandalorian, you know Ahsoka's looking for Thrawn. You know that the first episode starts off with her trying to find like this map where he is. So I think as if you have not seen Rebels, you could still enjoy the series so far, but there's not like the first 2 episodes don't really give you much. Like you're basically establishing characters and you're doing a bit of world building for the first 2 episodes, which I think is okay because you're trying to find that balance between, okay, people who have seen Rebels, and this is basically season 5 of Rebels, and people who haven't seen Rebels that are here to see a live action Ahsoka. I think it's a great balance. So far, and I say that as so far because if it keeps going like this for more episodes, it's like, okay, like we get it. Like we need more. I need more story out of it now. The second thing that kind of like bothers me is the fighting is a little slow and it looks a little awkward.
That
like
was
the lightsaber fights.
That was gonna be my like one. I don't want to say it's a negative, but like my one thing that
It's only gripe. It's really the only gripe I have with the show.
The way she fights in this almost seems like she's holding back on purpose.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, and it was weird because like especially in that one scene, I believe I think it's the tail end of the second episode. I can't remember. They kind of blur together.
Mm-hmm.
But when the they're having that standoff, and and like Hera's following the ship and like all that.
Yeah.
It just seemed like why are you wasting so much energy toying with these boys? Like like it was like you could have defeated them like 5 minutes earlier and then like maybe got on that ship. I don't know. Like it was that would probably that's like the one complaint so far is like I feel like I don't know. It was her fighting style so far seems like she's just kind of showing off and not really fighting.
Yeah. That's and honestly from a choreography standpoint, it seems it like all right, so like
she's pulling her punches. Like that's how it like came off as. It didn't really seem like she was like, all right, I got to get on that ship. You're all dead. Here we go.
Yeah.
But,
if it's a storytelling tool and they're doing it on purpose, fine. But if they're doing it because okay, like Rosario's not as athletic as she needs to be to perform those moves.
I don't
think
they're
just kind of slowing it.
I don't think that's the case because she's fought. Like I did not have this complaint when she did any of her stuff in The Mandalorian. So like
exactly,
it definitely seemed like a choice of for some reason. So like I'm not gonna bash it again. I'm not gonna bash anything on it until it's complete. I already love this way more than Obi-Wan. Like Obi-Wan, the second it started, I was like, this is garbage. This doesn't even make any sense. Where it's like, look, let's make him have a dream sequence of all scenes that he was never actually a part of, but somehow is dreaming about. Because that's how we're gonna kick this off as a giant. Whatever. You can make whatever bullshit excuse you want for that.
It's the truth. Yoda used to do that shit all the time.
Even the actor said it was garbage.
To do that shit all the time.
Even McGregor was like, "This is trash." Okay,
I refuse.
Just accept. The only good thing about Obi-Wan is it finally looks like that was the nail in the coffin for Kathleen Kennedy, and we can move on. That's my only positive take. That was the biggest waste of time Just YouTube all the awesome stuff Vader does, and that's it. Then nothing else happens. Anyway,
Yeah, speaking of Vader, I've heard that Hayden Christensen recorded some new lines for this show. So we'll see how that.
You know
goes.
who I want to really see? Before I get into, you know what? Let's not. Let's just go right into it. Who for me? I want to get your opinion on this.
Okay.
And it's sad.
Oh man,
that he just passed away. But man, can we talk about how this guy is as Balin? What's his name? Balin Skull.
Yes.
Is like a scene stealer. Like he's every scene he's in is incredible, and I love
presence.
And I love that he understands everything. Like he's not just this rage-filled villain, which is kind of like every Star Wars villain. It's just they just have rage and they're on the dark side.
Because technically he's not a Sith.
I know, like he's basically Ahsoka. Like he was a Jedi, and now he's not.
He left. And I think if it goes down that route, that's where it's going to be incredible, because you've now broken the demographic that is Jedi Sith. You are now dealing in this like,
and I know I'll get shit for this. I'll definitely get shit for this. But that was one of the reasons why I really liked The Last Jedi, because that was kind of the concept they were trying to hammer home. Was there is no light and dark, like it's whatever, and obviously that trilogy did nothing with anything, so it doesn't matter either. But like that ending scene, or even the scene where his Padawan asks him, if they find Thrawn, what does that mean? And he's like, well, for some war, and for some a new beginning, and then for us, more power. Like the guy completely understands like everything that's about to happen.
Yeah,
and then that last scene that he's in where I forget what's the Morgan X, basically gives the order to kill Ahsoka, and he's just like, it'd be such a shame. She's, there's very few Jedi left, and she's just like sentimental, and he's like, no, just truth. Cause like, he just knows like, this kind of sucks. Like it's the end of a end of a generational, thing if he kills her. So it's like, there's so much depth in this character already, and he's barely been in like 2 episodes.
And that's why I love his acting is so like, so good for that.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right.
He's just
your point is on point right there.
Scene stealer, and he brings a whole new he gives that extra layer of a villain that seems to really not be around anymore. Where and now it's just everything's black and white now. It's just the villain is bad guy. Yeah, exactly. Like
that's what it is. And a lot of the villains that have been coming out for really any IP. Really,
yeah, I'm talking about everything. Like everything is very
it's not just Star Wars. It's everything. IP. Like you think of any villain that comes out, it's always just like either blind rage or manipulative politician, or like something that is very like it's been done before.
That was one of my favorite things about Man of Steel, was Zod, and the way that way he played him. Like, there was a lot of sympathy in that character, because like at his core, he just wants to bring his people back. Yeah, while also being a raging madman. But like like there are those
raging power.
There's a couple of those scenes where like you actually feel for him. Yeah, and it's like that. You don't really get that a lot. Like you just get, Thanos was kind of like, granted he needed to be that because they were building this dude up for 10 years. He was kind of the last villain in anything really lately that I felt had that, a lot of people can relate to Thanos. Like, maybe he is right. Like, we're,
his point, if you really think about Thanos as a villain, his point is not.
What's up, Pete?
Entirely wrong. What's going on, Pete?
Yeah, that's why, in Hawkeye, they got the mug in the background. It says like Thanos was right, like stuff like that. It's like, so Ray Stevenson, rest in peace. His performance is amazing.
This is his final performance, from what I understand.
Yeah, no, because he I believe he died filming his next movie. I don't know if it ever got revealed why or how.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
but he's been in so much. My coworker and I were looking at everything that he's been
my
in.
the first thing that I
Um,
know him from is Punisher,
yeah,
Frank Castle. Like,
forgot Punisher Warzone.
yeah, man. Like, and he was awesome as Frank Castle. Like,
He really was.
he
He
was
really
great.
was. That movie's terrible, but he was
Oh,
awesome.
it's absolutely terrible, but
But you know what?
everything is
I gotta
great.
say one comment on that movie. That movie is so bad, it's good. Like it hits that like
Yeah,
passes that threshold where it's so worth to watch.
dude. The very
Uh,
beginning, where like I don't know, isn't there like a guy doing like parkour on a building and he shoots a rocket launcher at
Rocket
him or
launcher
something?
blows him up. Yeah,
It's just like,
blows him up.
what is
Great.
happening?
It's so good.
Um,
Yeah, no, Ray Stevenson did he did a fantastic job with this so far.
yeah, I
I'm
think
very excited to see where this series goes.
like character wise, this series is like, to me, this is on par with like The Mandalorian, where like even if it's slow, I'm very invested because the characters are so good.
Yeah.
Whereas
I
like in Obi-Wan, like you're just kind of invested in Obi-Wan, and like there's not much else going on. Like they introduced like young Leia and you're like, holy shit, now I hate this character. Thanks for that. Like,
Yeah.
because they just kept throwing her in your face, and then Reva was atrocious. Like every character that they introduced in that show, you were just like, oh my god, why is everyone so bad? Like that Reva's that perfect example of like, she's just a rage monster.
Yeah.
Like, and you're like, oh yeah, like, oh, this is great.
She could have benefited from her own series. Like she could have benefited from her own story rather than giving her basically all the
introduce her like actual motivations earlier on, so like you can feel, you can understand her struggle of trying to play
you can
both
have some
sides
empathy for the character, essentially.
Well, yeah, but so you can understand like what she's going through to play both sides and all that kind of stuff, and the pressure she's under to maintain that character. Instead, she just came off like a cartoon, and by the time you had that twist, it was just kind of like you were already done with her. You know what I mean? You were already like, this character sucks.
Yeah.
All she does is scream. Like, and crazy because she's a great. That actress is awesome. And there's one of those one of those things where like, here, this is your script, and it's like, so I just yell loudly, and they're like, yep, they're all right. Like, I guess that's what I'll do. There's not much for you to really do. But in Ahsoka, like, I don't even his apprentice has a really good presence about her. Like her little fight with Sabine was pretty good. Yeah. I mean, and I Sabine is the character that I am least from Sabine. I'm sorry. Sabine is the character that obviously I am least familiar with.
Yeah. But so she's a Mandalorian.
Yeah, I know. It was cool to see that she's a Mandalorian with, I guess, some super light force sensitivity, I guess.
Yes, she does not have much. Pete, yes, Andor is a great series. AJ, you should definitely watch that if you haven't watched it.
I've watched 4 episodes of Andor. I really liked it, and I just don't know why I never finished it. So I'll get back to that. Did they do a season 2? They announced a season 2, right?
They have announced. I believe they have confirmed a season 2. Yes.
Right, so definitely have to get that.
Yes, going back to Sabine. Yes, Sabine is. She does not have a lot of force training because in Rebels she trains with Kanan, because she acquires the Darksaber. She is the first Mandalorian to acquire the Darksaber after defeating Vizsla. And that was like the whole thing, because in Rebels she hands the Darksaber over to Bo-Katan. And that's why Bo-Katan gets it, and that's why Bo-Katan becomes the leader of the Mandalorians in Rebels. And it's cool because you see Kanan try to train her with the Darksaber. Like she uses the Darksaber to train with Kanan, and she's training with Ezra, because Ezra at that point is more or less a Jedi Knight at that point in the series.
And he basically sacrifices himself, right?
In the series?
Yeah.
So technically, yes, he goes with Thrawn. He sacrifices himself to hold Thrawn in place with the space whales, and all of them just disappear. So you really don't know if he's dead or not. He just disappears and is never heard from again.
I'm gonna go on a limb and say, because they actually got an actor to be a hologram, that he's gonna be alive.
So here's my one thing. Okay. And I'm gonna, yes, I believe he is alive. What's really going to make me angry, and I tell you right now, if this comes true, I will stop watching this show.
Ooh.
The masked guy that Ahsoka fights on the dock with the Inquisitor lightsaber, the one that
Oh,
spins, the
okay.
dual
Yeah,
blade
yeah.
one, the masked guy. If that ends up being Ezra, I will never finish this show because there's no need for that. There's no need for it. Why that would be him, I don't know, because as far as you know, he is wherever Thrawn is. So wherever Thrawn is where Ezra is. Like that's the whole
What
theory.
about what about that if that's Star Killer?
Oh my god, I'd shit my pants. I swear to God, if it's first of all Sam Witwer coming to live action, I will die a happy man
Like,
because that guy is. First of all,
why not?
that guy deserves some freaking Star Wars screen time. He has done
Everything for that character.
wonders for Darth Maul. He is the most amazing voice actor for Darth Maul because his just like he brings that character to life in animation. Like that character has so much depth because of his voice acting. And honestly, they tailored a lot of the animation to Sam Witwer's like gravitas in the booth. Like they were like, all right, yeah, let's animate him this way. Oh yeah, let's do it this way. Star Killer.
Because that
Oh
would,
man,
because like, so remember we were talking about maybe that the way they're fighting is leading up to something. Like,
yeah,
because it also seemed like that dude was kind of holding back too.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Like, it seemed like they were kind of like, it
oh
was almost
man,
like they were feeling each other out kind of deal.
I
And
didn't even
not
think of Star Killer until you just said it.
like, why
Uh,
not?
so it would be great if they completely ignore the Forced Unleashed stories and just be like, yeah, those are over there. We're gonna put
Well,
those
I
over
mean,
there.
didn't they already announce that those stories are technically no longer canon? I know when they originally came out, they were part of the canon, but that was before
Yeah.
the Disney came in
So
and was like, everything is
technically,
not canon anymore.
technically, any story that takes place originally when everything got retconned and they started making the sequel trilogy. Okay, so starting with Force Awakens. Any story that took place after Return of the Jedi, comic book, novel, cinematic, what have you, was considered legends. It is no longer a part of the Star Wars canon. Okay. A lot of fans had a real problem with this because that's where Thrawn was. Thrawn is one of the most beloved, hated, and infamous characters in all of Star Wars history. He is because so he had one. So Timothy Zahn, who is the author that created Thrawn, wrote him in the Heir to the Empire trilogy, and that's where Rise of Skywalker got the whole clone thing from, because that's what happens is the Emperor. Now we're gonna get into real Star Wars nerdism.
Nah, go for it, man.
When so as you see when Qui-Gon dies, when Obi-Wan dies in the Star Wars movies, they become a part. They become the Force. That's why, like, if you see, like, when Obi-Wan dies in A New Hope, and you hear "Run, Luke, run," he becomes a part of the Force, and he has mastered so much of the Force that he's able to manifest himself through the Force in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Qui-Gon is unable to do this at the time because Qui-Gon is the first Jedi to discover that there is more to the Force beyond death, but he is unable to manifest himself in like a ghostly form, for lack of a better description. Um, the Emperor discovers something very similar, which goes back to a character named Darth Bane. Darth Bane is this is canon, by the way. Darth Bane is canon because it takes place in the Old Republic, which is like 1,000 years before A New Hope. Um, Darth Bane is the Sith Lord because back when Darth Bane was initially introduced as a character, the Sith had an army just as much as the Jedi did. As a
Okay.
matter of fact, they had infantry troopers, like they had everything. Darth Bane became a Sith Lord in this Sith order, and then through long story short, he basically manipulated the Jedi and the Sith to basically destroy each other. And he basically manipulated everything into destroying the entire Sith order so that he is the only Sith alive at that point in time. The reason he did this is because he discovered if you are a part of the dark side of the Force, the less power there is to share, the more powerful you are. And he is the one that came up with the rule of two. There will only be a master and an apprentice at any given time.
Hmm.
When the Emperor came around, Darth Sidious, if you will, he kind of played with that. So he created Maul as his apprentice, but really made him expendable, and that's why he dies in episode 1. And he Darth Bane is the one that discovers the ability, because in the books what happens is he and his apprentice end up fighting each other to the death, because that's the only way to become a Sith Lord, is to kill your master.
Oh,
Yeah. So you
I
kill
didn't.
your master to become the master to take on another apprentice. So he does that. He goes and fights, but Darth Bane discovers that through the dark side of the Force, he can actually possess a corporeal body. Basically transfer his entire essence into another being, and that's what he does with his apprentice. So the theory that fans play around with is that every Sith Lord after that point is actually Darth Bane. And he's just been transferring his body over and over again, getting another apprentice so that he can move on into the next. So in Heir to the Empire, what ends up happening is the Emperor creates clones of himself. So every time he dies, he can basically just jump body to body, which is what they do, or how they explain it in Rise of Skywalker. And he could, yeah, really badly done in that movie. Yeah, really
Explain it.
badly. Yeah,
Explain. Yeah,
yeah, real explained. Oh, there's clones of himself.
yeah.
Sick.
They literally have a line where he's just like, and somehow Palpatine returned. Like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, thanks for
Yeah.
caring. You guys cared so much about that.
You know what the worst part is so Heir to the Empire is a trilogy. It's a trilogy,
Mm.
and Thrawn is the main villain of those books. And he basically is like in charge of the whole aspect of it, trying to bring the Emperor back and all this. And that's what those 3 books are about. It's basically Luke and Han trying to find out what's going on with whatever's left of the Empire.
Hmm.
And they discover this whole thing where the Emperor is bringing himself back. That's why it's called the Heir to the Empire. So Thrawn was first introduced in those books, and then it was like people were pissed because you basically said, "Oh, well, we're just going to axe this character."
Yeah.
And people were like, "No,
And
man,
then John
no."
Favreau brought back Dave Filoni, and they were
Yep.
like, "Nah, we're not. You
So
guys cray."
Dave Filoni is a huge Thrawn fan. So
Obviously.
Dave Filoni was like, "Well, I'm gonna be making Rebels," and he was like, "Hey, how would you feel if I write Thrawn into this?" And then when you first see Thrawn in animated form come onto the bridge in the white uniform, so he's technically, I'm almost 99.9% sure he's the only Grand Admiral of the Empire. He's the only one that wears that white uniform. He is the highest ranking military official appointed directly by the Emperor. So he in terms of the military, he's got the highest rank. Even above, technically above a Grand Moff, which is where Tarkin was, but Tarkin was more like a governor and a politician rather than a military leader.
Okay.
Thrawn was like the best because he's just got this whole like, I will always know more than you. In any given situation, I am 3 steps ahead of you. And that was his strength. He's not a powerful man or a powerful being,
Is he
rather.
a force
He,
wielder?
no, he is just smart.
He's just
He
a
is hyper
tactician.
intelligent and he's a tactician, exactly. And the cool thing is, so Timothy Zahn came back to write 2 more trilogies for Thrawn. And you really get more of an insight into the character, and it really, if you read the books and then watch Rebels, you really like appreciate the character even more because of just how cool he actually is. Because like he looks at the world in such a different way than everyone else around him, and everyone thinks he's crazy until he's not. because he looks and sees what's there, but he also notices exactly what's not there, and that's what makes him so cool.
And all right, so now you got me really interested to watch Rebels. Because I've
Yeah,
always heard of this character, but this is a character that I've never actually seen. Like
yeah.
other
Oh
than
my
just
god,
pictures like this. Like I understand, like
oh
he's got the
dude,
blue face and the red eyes. That's pretty much
yes,
the extent of which I know of him.
chiss. He is a chiss. And the book trilogy that Timothy Zahn wrote more recently takes you back into Thrawn's early life and actually goes into his lore and his history and his people, because he's the only one that you ever see in Star Wars in any form at this point. He's the only chiss you see because they exist in a So this is my theory about Ahsoka. They exist in a galaxy beyond the galaxy that we know, that is super difficult to get to. And the only time that any of the characters we know reach anywhere close to that galaxy is when Anakin Skywalker meets Thrawn. He is not an admiral at that point. He's more of I think he's a pilot. And they meet each other on a planet, and they end up having to help each other, even though they're not really allies. And this is where Thrawn first meets anyone outside of what's called the Ascendancy. So the Ascendancy is the galactic body that the Chiss oversee. So the Chiss are the like governing body of people that like almost like that version of the Empire, not really assholish. They have their own way of governing. But yeah, he ends up on this planet with Anakin Skywalker, and he discovered because it gives you a cool like look into that species of people, because they don't have hyperdrive. They have hyperdrive capability, but they have no way of navigating hyperspace. So the Chiss actually use children that they call Skywalkers.
No way.
Yeah, they call Skywalkers because when Chiss children are born, they are force sensitive. So they use the Force to navigate hyperspace lanes, because the Chiss don't have the technology to create nav computers to navigate hyperspace without dying.
Interesting.
So they use children, and when the children grow up and get to a certain age, they lose this ability, and then they get another child. That's why Chiss children are considered the most amazing, like the most protected secret in all of their people. So this
That's
is like this
fantastic
is where
lore
Thrawn comes
dump
from.
there. I have no idea about any of that. That's
Yeah.
pretty wild.
Yeah.
Speaking of
So
like
this is-
more cool stuff that's like kind of getting introduced for the first time, like seems like we're finally getting like what the witches. I forget what their names are called.
the witches of they're basically the witches of Dathomir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it seems like we're gonna get them
That's where
too.
Maul is from.
So
Yeah.
like, no more just like there's Jedi and Sith. It's like, oh no, there's other people that can do some crazy shit too. So like,
oh yeah,
it's awesome to see Star Wars really like expand, like, and it's crazy to think like it's this guy that was doing the cartoons. Yeah. Well, no, it's just like because like that's how for the longest time Hollywood viewed things, was like, here's the live action stuff, and then there's like here's the cartoon stuff, and that's, while it's together, it's always really separate. Like every iteration, anytime there's ever been a cartoon spin-off of a live action, it's always kind of been that way. Even like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was like, yeah, it's together, but like
it's a cartoon live action is what
like,
it is.
yeah, I guess sometimes, I don't know why the Avengers would never show up to save any of the worlds in any of these scenarios, but like they're kind of relatable. So no, it's really cool to see that
so far. Yeah, it's really cool to see. I'm glad that the broader Star Wars audience that came in for the Mandalorian that had never seen Star Wars before and was like, oh, the Mandalorian's like sick. I'm glad that they're getting to see the broader scope of it, because there's so much more depth to a lot of these Star Wars characters that no one gets to see, because everybody's locked into their little square space of just like, here's the villain, here's the hero, here's the villain, here's the hero.
Like the Clone Wars is very similar to like Godzilla the animated series, where everyone hated the Godzilla in the movie, but then the cartoon everyone loved it. Very similar to Anakin, everyone hates the movie version of Anakin. Like he's whiny,
Yeah.
he's a little like he's like annoying. But then the Clone Wars, like you see this whole
Yeah,
other
they
side
gave
of
him depth.
Anakin where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, where
Now it
the
makes a lot of sense.
where was
Yeah.
this
Where the
dude
fuck
in
is
any
this
of the
guy?
movie?
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
was almost portrayed. I don't want to say he's portrayed completely different, but giving him
Yeah.
that Padawan like changed his the entire dynamic of him.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I honestly like. It's so funny because I obviously watch Star Wars all the time, and I go back and watch the prequel trilogy. Obviously I watch the original trilogy, and I just can't bring myself to sit through the sequel trilogy other than Force Awakens. Force Awakens to me was a great movie. Everything after that just seems to like, because it's such a great setup movie.
Yeah,
It sets everything
because
up
Force
for you. You
Awakens is
finally
just
established.
Force Awakens is very similar to like Jurassic World.
Yeah.
It's this huge nostalgia dump in a very okay movie, but because of all the feels you're hit with, it elevates the movie. Like,
Yeah.
and then everything after that's garbage. Like Jurassic,
Yeah.
the Jurassic World sequels have been worse and worse, and like
Yeah.
you
No,
know,
you're right.
it's like so it's kind of like that. Even though I'm one of those rare guys that actually really likes The Last Jedi, it doesn't even matter if you did or you didn't, because the next movie spends half the time trying to erase it, and then nothing happens. And you're like, so what the? Why do we even get this trilogy? What was it about? Like you just had
A lot of people
female
take a
carbon
lot
copy
of-
Luke
yeah.
Skywalker that wasn't Skywalker, and then now maybe she is. Oh wait, no, she's a Palpatine, and then let's ever end the
Dude.
series with I'm Rey Sky.
I am so mad because honestly, you could have taken Rey and you could have given her. Oh, there's such a great tie-in. So great tie-in right here. And I don't want to get too deep into it, but in Clone Wars, Obi-Wan actually falls in love with the Duchess of Mandalore, and he even says in Clone Wars, "I'd leave the Jedi Order for you." Like he would absolutely put down his lightsaber and never be a Jedi ever again to go be with her, because that's how in love with her he was. You have that whole romantic thing. They introduce that. They separate from each other because neither one wants to abandon their responsibilities entirely unless both of them are willing to do so. And she does not want to do that because she, oddly enough, the Duchess of Mandalore, Duchess Satine, she is a pacifist, and she wanted to lead the Mandalorians into pacifism and completely forego any kind of military. And then
Worked out good.
Vizsla embraces the old Mandalorian sect, and that's where the whole the Watch comes in. Like he creates that, and long story short, she ends up being killed, and Obi-Wan never really recovers from that death. But he had this romantic relationship with her throughout large portions of Clone Wars. Why you can't introduce Rey as Obi-Wan's granddaughter in some way, shape, or form makes no sense to me.
No,
None.
instead they
It
literally
makes
spent
me
2
angry.
movies hinting that she's a Skywalker, but then she's not.
Oh,
LOL,
no,
she's a Palpatine.
Get the fuck out of here. Stupidest thing.
But
Which bothers me too, because the Emperor would never procreate. The Emperor would never procreate. He's too vain.
there's too much nonsense about any of that movie. Like even the Emperor himself, like, bro, just stop shooting electric at her, and you won't like kill yourself. I don't know. Maybe just stop. Just stop doing it. It's, you know what I mean? Like it's mind numbing. Like how bad that fight is.
Dude, there's so many things
bad.
they could have done. There's so many things they could have done. And they literally, I understand that any of the books that took place after Return of the Jedi don't exist anymore. Sure, fine. But that doesn't mean you can't use stuff from it.
Yeah, because they did try, but they just picked the wrong things.
So,
or don't elaborate on them.
Anything about New Jedi Order, which is a very popular book series that takes place after Return of the Jedi, where Han and Leia have children, multiple children, twins to be exact, Jason and Jaina, and they become Jedi, and they have a young son named another third son named Anakin, and they're trying to like become these Jedi. Jason turns a Sith Lord and then kills his brother. There's a whole like story that takes place that is erased from existence because Disney. That you literally could have just used parts of that and
But
created this beautiful trilogy. But no, you
what's
can't.
crazy though is like you said, The Force Awakens has a lot of good stuff in it. It just that's the problem.
It's the only.
None of it
It's
gets
also the
paid off. Not
no, none of it.
anything that they introduce in that movie does not get paid off
No,
because
none of
they're
it.
so busy trying to fix the second movie. And you're like, why? Like, you don't got to try this hard. Just like move on. Like,
Just move on. Yeah, tell a
yeah.
better
Oh
story.
my god.
You know what?
Um,
Force Awakens is the only one of the trilogy that has good pacing. The other two movies, just you're like, wait, what? Huh? What? Why is this happening right now? What's happening over here? Why is this happening over here? It's just like none of it makes sense, and the pacing's all off in those two movies.
yeah.
The Force Awakens is the only one that actually like it sticks to a format that it knows. So it's not
Yeah.
doing anything wrong, but
It's
it's
just
also
a New
not doing
Hope.
anything innovative.
It's literally just
Yeah,
a New Hope. Like, it's a
yeah,
New
that's it.
Hope with a new layer on top of it. That's it.
That's it.
But it's great. It
That's it.
doesn't matter. That's all people really wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like funny because like I like Star Wars, but I would never considered myself like it was never like Godzilla to me or anything in that nature. Like
Oh yeah.
I just
Mhm.
liked it because just like I kind of like Star Trek. Like I just like sci-fi stuff. So for the most part, I will watch anything sci-fi, and for the usually enjoy it. So I always liked Star Wars, but I was never like a diehard. It really wasn't until, ironically, The Mandalorian, where like I really got hooked into it, and then like I
Yeah.
rewatched all the movies again, and then I started trying to watch some of the animated stuff, and like so it's
Yeah.
like The
There's
Mandalorian
honestly
is what made me a fan, like an actual fan, as opposed to like, yeah, this is something that like if you were like, yo, let's watch Star Wars, I'm not gonna be like, no, I'll be like, yeah, but
dude,
but now I'm like an actual fan of this stuff,
there's so
and
much lore and so much great story out there for Star Wars.
yeah, it's
And
wild.
I was so obsessed with it that I didn't want to limit myself to just what I saw on a screen. So I've read tons of Star Wars books and like understanding all the lore that exists there. It's just so deep. Like especially like all the Mandalorian stuff, like based on what you see in Clone Wars and Rebels and
Yeah,
the actual Mandalorian and in Boba Fett. Um you get so much of these characters and so much of just this one topic in the entire Star Wars universe that it just makes you want
and that
more
that
because
was
it's
like
so well done.
the genius of like Favreau bringing Filoni into this was not
Well,
only
they're
are you
basically all
going
his
to
characters.
not only are you now paying off like an entire generation of fans that grew up with this, with introducing these people to live action, now you get a whole other, an entire other group of people like me that are like, wait, these are characters from these cartoons or whatever. Like now I want to go back and rewatch that. And it's like, it's just great. Like it's great. Whereas
Yeah,
the new trilogy did none of that for me, like at all. I was just
none of
kind of
it.
like, I was like, oh, yep, Star Wars nerds, you suck again. Like, like,
It's the best part is like none of the new trilogy is really a fan service other than Force Awakens. That's really the whole. Oh my god, we're gonna go into Last Jedi for a second
no,
because it
no,
really
we don't have to. We don't
no
have
no
to.
it hurts. It hurts me. It hurts me because I don't need Mary Poppins Leia. I don't need it. I don't need Mary Poppins Leia flying through space. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen, and I hate it every time I see it on screen. Pete, you need to finish Clone Wars. Clone Wars is so good. You need to finish Clone Wars.
My only issue with
It's
Clone Wars is I hate that like you need to basically look at a Reddit post to find out how to watch the fucking thing in order. I think that's the stupidest thing known to man. I have no idea why they. I don't even. I'm shocked. Like Disney wasn't just like, all right, we're gonna fix this. We're just gonna put them all in order
yeah.
instead of just like, you know what? They'll
It's
figure it out. Like
it
it's
is
very
weird.
strange. It's very strange.
I honestly forget that it does that. That it like
It just
pops
skips
around
all
in,
around. Like
different
it's
different
cool
places.
in a sense because by doing that, especially back when they're doing it on a weekly format, every episode's gonna feel fresh, and then if you've been watching it all, like it's gonna like tie back to certain things. So like I don't hate it, but
Yeah.
when you get to the point of like how long it went on for like that, you're
Yeah.
like, this is kind of crazy that
Yeah.
they were just like, yeah, we're gonna time
Yeah.
jump here, come back here, a little bit over there,
Yeah.
just
But Clone Wars is where you get a lot of major characters that you see in the movies and that you see in like The Mandalorian and you see in Boba Fett and things like that. Like Clone Wars is where they introduced Saul Guerrero in Rogue One,
Mm.
played by Forrest Whitaker in the show as well. I think it is in the show. But yeah, like that's where you get that character introduced, and like you see why. Like if you've watched Clone Wars and you see what he goes through in Clone Wars, you understand why he is the way he is in Rogue One. Like you
I
see
love
the
Rogue One, man.
Rogue One is considered one of the best Star Wars movies of all time. Like
I mean,
amongst fans, it is really beloved.
out of all of the new movies, like to me, it's like a no-brainer that that's the best
Oh,
one.
I love Rogue One as like number one. I also love Solo though.
I still have
think
not
that
seen
movie,
Solo.
people
gonna have
have
to
a
watch
big
it.
problem with it. Have a big problem with it. But if you go in expecting a fun movie, that's exactly what it is.
Hmm.
It's a fun movie. The guy that plays a young Han Solo is great. Like he really has like the one-liners. He's got the attitude, like, and it feels like an awkward Han Solo, which I think is like the point of it. Like he's trying to just come off as like trying to find his way into it. And Solo's a great movie. Rogue One is still like the best because it's just everything about it is beautiful. The aesthetic, the acting. That's where you first see Andor, and it's just so good. But you get a lot of like it's especially because like as Star Wars fans, you know how that story ends. Like you already know that these people don't survive.
Yeah.
Like it's just not going to happen with them. And the funny thing is, I saw that movie with Erica, and Erica's like, "Wait, they all die?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
I always love
Yeah.
reading about like the original ending and like that entire last room was supposed to be all the main characters.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Disney was like, we can't do that.
No,
I don't know
no.
if that's 100% true, but I remember reading that and being like, wow, they were really going for some dark shit here where he's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
all these characters that you thought might live. No, Vader's going to kill
Nope.
all of them in a terrible,
Yeah.
horrible way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the best scenes too, is when Vader is in the hallway and you finally like, because in the movies you never
get to
really
finally see Vader be
fight.
Vader. Well, you get to see Vader
Never.
fight in the movies. I mean, he fights Luke and he shows off his skills.
He's literally just like,
no, I know, but you know, it was really the prequel that
gives it the full.
You know, the prequel series kind of neutered him, where you know they just didn't make Anakin believable that guy turned into that guy.
So you see, because you see Anakin fight, you see how he reacts, you see his emotions, and it's completely different from Vader. When you see Vader on screen for the first time in, you know, obviously from in the prequel trilogy, when you see him for the first time, you don't really get that, like, you don't get that vibe. And I hate Revenge of the Sith when he stands up and goes, "Roar!" It's like, okay, now I remember why I don't like this.
Yeah.
I think I definitely prefer the prequel trilogy. I could watch the prequel trilogy over and over again. I cannot watch the sequel trilogy over and over again. I can't, because I will always remember as a kid going to see episode 1 and seeing Darth Maul just hold the lightsaber in front of him and be like, and you're like, oh shit, Qui-Gon's gonna fight. Oh my god, there's a second blade. Like, it's a wild ride.
You need to bribe me. I need to be bribed with like pizza and beer to sit down and watch Phantom Menace. There's no way.
I'm sorry, I will watch Phantom Menace.
Dude,
because I will watch Darth Maul fight Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan till the day I die. Till the day I die. I'll take that. Yes, Jar Jar Binks sucks. But you and I were both talking about the whole theory of how Jar Jar is a Sith.
Oh, I'm all about Darth Jar Jar. Oh yeah.
Darth Jar Jar. Give it to me.
Because dude, someone animated that shit. You watch those movies in the background and a lot of scenes. He is voicing he's like making the people talk to what he wants them to say. So someone purposely animated that. Like, they didn't just someone didn't just go like, hey, this would be fun.
Imagine this has been the long con for all these movies.
So like, you know, that's one of my I know, right? That's definitely one of my favorite conspiracy theories with Star Wars is like Darth Jar Jar
Darth Jar Jar.
would make so much sense. Honestly, like he basically just played everyone for a complete fool the whole time, while literally manipulating his way all the way into the goddamn Senate, in which, I mean, he turns it all over to the Emperor. I mean, it couldn't make any more goddamn sense that he was that all along. And then, like, I get it, you know, and it's so weird because, like, it's very something you see, like, in Godzilla 2, like, you know, older fans expect a certain thing and don't like something newer, where, like, so, like, older fans hated Jar Jar, but a lot of our generation and whatnot, like, because we're more kids, we like Jar Jar,
well,
or like
we were
are able to tolerate Jar Jar. Like, you know, it wasn't like we didn't see him as this abomination on screen. You know, I think he's a goofy character for sure, but like if they would have paid that off and kept building to that, which it definitely seems was the original idea, until the character was just so hated that they kind of just like pulled off of it.
He was universally disliked.
Yeah. You know, it's like something like in Godzilla where it's like, you know, Gino for Godzilla 98, something all older fans hated. And now, you know, now you have my generation who basically saw it when they were like 12. You know, that's a Godzilla to them in some, or in a lot of cases, some people's first Godzilla. And now, you know, now they're older and want merchandise of the Godzilla that they know, because like that's no one really did anything with it outside of like Trendmasters and whatnot. So I would absolutely love if Darth Jar Jar like ties into any of this at some point, man. Because like Dave Filoni and Favreau are crazy enough to do it. They were crazy enough to bring Luke Skywalker back. Which was such a shame though, because and that's another Kathleen Kennedy thing. I don't know if you know that story of like how Favreau almost left.
I don't know this.
Basically, she's the one that forced Grogu and Mandalorian to get back together in Boba Fett. Favreau did not want that to happen at all. Like he wanted them to be separate for a while. Like it wasn't. So he basically was like, the only way for him to stay was like, I basically put his foot down from what I read and said that you can no longer interfere in anything that I'm working on. And that's, you know, and so with Mandalorian season 3, like she's no ties. And then they ended up canceling like 2 of her other shows that she was supposed to be doing. I think one of them was what, Rogue Squadron, I believe. It was supposed to be with the Wonder Woman director. That got completely axed because that was, I mean, the Woman director is getting her own heat for Wonder Woman 84. So, which we're not going to go into. So, you know, like that, because even as a fan of just The Mandalorian, like it would be ridiculous if you didn't watch Boba Fett and then you come back to season 3 of Mandalorian, they're back together. Like I would, if I was Favreau, I'd have been pissed too. Like, what are you doing? Like you're forcing an entire audience to watch another show for a reunion that we just brought fucking Luke Skywalker back, and you're gonna you know what I mean? Like I would throw my go nuts. So it's wild that happened. And now now it looks like we're not gonna get anything with Luke, which is so weird. Like you could tell that's what they wanted to do. And
the hard part is,
I don't know
the hard part
what
is
they're gonna
do. Luke
do.
is himself. The hard part is Luke himself. He's on screen enough where the CGI-ish thing that they do,
it looks ridiculously good, dude.
It looks great.
In Boba Fett, it's pretty ridiculous.
Oh no, it's spot on. It definitely is beautiful.
In The Mandalorian season 2, it's whatever, but in Mandalorian,
have you seen the whole thing where they do it with Sebastian Stan, and they basically put him as Luke, but they just readjust his facial features ever so slightly?
I mean, that's another
exactly like a young Mark Hamill.
That's another toss up that you could easily do.
Oh yeah,
like Sebastian, that's another just like if you wanted to do it, just do it.
He deserves it. He
But now I
deserves
have
it.
no idea what they're gonna do with that. Like, I would love to see him return in Osaka. Like it's crazy
So
that
yeah.
she's gonna go on into this, but obviously probably standing off with Thrawn. Maybe, and
So
like
that's
she's
what's
not gonna be like, "Yo, Luke, I need you, bro." Like we need, you know what I mean? Like there's
no, she won't. She won't because Luke is trying to establish a new Jedi Order, and she's not about that. She doesn't want any kind of fixture in the world. She brought Grogu to him because she didn't want to train him. She didn't want to train Grogu because she doesn't want to be involved in
what's up, Bill?
any kind of Jedi aspect. Um,
You don't think that's about to change though? I'm getting those vibes that
well,
she's by the end of this, especially now that she's training Sabine and all
yeah,
that. Like, I think
yeah.
she's gonna lean back into that. And honestly, I think there's gonna be some really. At least I hope. I hope there's gonna be a lot of good scenes between her and Ray Stevenson's character because
Yes. I think there is.
I think they're
There's
gonna.
definitely going to be
Yeah,
I think there's definitely going to be a lot of a lot of good dynamic between the two of them because of the how similar the two of them are in terms of their motivations, but how they are a product of their own environment.
yeah,
Like, Ray Stevenson's character is definitely of like, I no longer want to be involved politically. I'm basically, I want the power. I just want the power. She, on the other hand, just wants to really walk a path of peace and uh be more of how can I help? Like that
yeah.
was her whole purpose in Rebels was to just do the best that she can to save lives.
I think at
And
some point she's gonna have that Rambo turn
I hope so.
where
That'd
she
be
just
cool.
realizes like
It'd be a
if you
cool
didn't bring any guns,
turnaround
you ain't
for her.
doing shit. Like
Yeah.
if
Brought a knife
um,
to a gunfight.
yeah, like I kind of feel like that Rambo moment's gonna happen, and I think it kind of did with almost losing Sabine,
Yeah.
in a sense of like, okay,
Yeah. It's
oh,
cool.
how did you feel
I
about? I want to talk. We should move on at some point,
Yeah, no,
but
no, we'll tie it up. We'll tie it up.
um, how did you feel about the Myrtle on the wall being like the
The
exact?
mural.
Yeah,
I loved it. I loved it.
like that was
Um,
pretty awesome.
it's straight shot for shot from Rebels.
Yeah, I know. It's like that's
It
such a
is
cool thing because I go, yeah, why wouldn't they draw them like cartoons on the wall?
and
Like
and why wouldn't you do that? Like you've already established that this is a continuation of the Rebels story, and changing that mural in some way just doesn't make any sense.
yeah.
Like just give it to us. Give it. It doesn't hurt you to do that. If anything, it'll make people love you even more, which is why like it's a big deal. Um,
Well, Bill,
I
he
definitely
did
love
finish
that.
this show.
Yes,
He completed. This is his last completed show. He unfortunately passed away filming something I believe in Italy, was it, or something of that nature.
he was in Italy. Yeah, he was in Italy when he died. I don't know what he was doing specifically, but he was definitely filming in Italy. Uh,
But to wrap up the Ahsoka
yeah,
conversation, I really like the first two episodes. I really hope that dude is oh my god, I
I
forgot the
mean,
name.
I'm excited.
Sky Killer. What is that? It no,
Star Killer,
Star
Star
Killer.
Killer.
Star
Yeah,
Killer. Because that would
yeah.
be
If
wild.
he is Star Killer, I swear to God, I will
I think
probably
that
shit
would
my
be
pants.
like a Darth Vader "I am your father" moment. I think for people,
Oh yeah,
like people would lose
oh
their
yeah.
shit if it was done and filmed right.
You literally, if that helmet opens up and Sam Witwer is there as Star Killer, I will die. Like that's just like that'll be. I will literally do backflips, whatever I need to do. I will probably explode. Like that is just one of the coolest like turn of like you just wouldn't expect it, and no one would expect it unless you're unless you played the Force Unleashed. Like no one would expect it. It's very very exciting.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, Ahsoka's got a good track. I hope it does well.
I think it's gonna
We'll
do
see.
well.
Yeah.
With Dave Filoni being able, basically, this is his baby. I can't see it. I can't see
Yeah,
it
I feel like he
being
would
bad.
definitely.
Like it's not gonna be like Obi-Wan to me, where I was like, I will never watch this ever again. Thank you for wasting my time. I know you feel differently, but I don't know how. moving on to
Yeah.
unfortunate, more sad news.
Yeah, speaking of people passing.
Ah,
Yeah. This I mean, you and I are huge fans of Batman the Animated Series.
yeah,
It's we grew up on that as kids. Like I remember coming home every day after school, trying to catch Power Rangers, would catch the end of Power Rangers and then watch just Batman. I remember like one of my greatest memories of Batman, the animated series especially, is because it came out in '92, so we were like what, six,
6,
seven?
7. Yeah,
Yeah, the Man Bat episode, which is like I think like the
that's the
first
first
episode of the
episode.
series.
That is the
Yeah,
first episode.
scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah.
Scared, it was terrifying because it's got that like I forget what it's called, the Greco aesthetic that Batman the Animated Series art style is. Um, it's just like the whole of Gotham, and the Man Bat is just like this most terrifying creature. But that's like that stylized choice for that series is what makes it special. But obviously, this character that we see in front of us right now was created for the show and was loved so much that she was then written into the comic book.
Which is,
Uh,
I mean, it's kind of surreal. I mean,
it's
if
never happened before. It's the
for
first time
some
that ever
lore,
happened.
or if you don't even realize who we're even talking about, who passed away, the original voice actress, Arleen Sorkin, who I believe, what was it, Days of Your Past was the show
Days
she
of
was
Our Lives
Days of
is what
Our
you're talking
Lives.
about?
Yeah, I think was the
That's a soap
show
opera, yeah.
that she, was popular from, and I believe even played a clown or a Harley Quinn on that, which is what inspired this, because I believe her and Paul Dini were friends.
Mhm.
Um, so she was kind of written as like a one-off character. I think the original plan was for her to just be in an episode, and
Yeah,
she brought this character to life in a way that transcended what they were
everyone.
doing.
It,
Yeah, like it was an instant, like, oh my god, who is this character? We need more of. Instant fan favorite. Um,
everybody loved her.
which is like,
Everybody
it's
loved
very, very uncommon for, especially at that time, like, oh, let me introduce a character not even in the comics. I mean, we talk about all the nerds rage out when any movie does something that's not in the comic. How could you do that?
her.
So for them to be like, yeah, we're gonna give the most popular villain possibly at the time in comics a girlfriend that we just made up,
Yep,
that could have went over horribly.
really badly,
Real,
really
like,
badly.
she could have been the Jar Jar of Batman. Like, like, it had that
Yeah,
potential, but
yeah. No, you're right.
her voice acting, and just bringing that character to life, and she played it all the
Mr.
way up
J.
yeah, and she
So
played it
good.
all the way up until, I believe, I want to say
She
Arkham
did it in Batman
Asylum.
Beyond.
Arkham Asylum, I think, was her last
Uh,
game,
let's
or
see.
DCU Online. It was like, I think both of those came out at the same time. Until she passed it off to Tara Strong, who took over for her in the Arkham games. But she did do the first one. I think that was the last, the last she did.
Yes, she did. DC Universe Online was her final role in 2011. And she did play Harley. She played Harley in Arkham Asylum, Batman Vengeance, The Adventures of Batman and Robin on Sega CD.
Oh no,
She,
whenever Harley Quinn was in anything, she voiced her.
yeah.
From
Oh yeah.
1992 to literally whenever Arkham was. What was that?
Yeah,
2004,
everything.
2010.
Arkham Asylum was 2009. DC Universe Online was 2011. And she voiced Harley Quinn in Batman the Animated Series, The New Batman Adventures, Superman the Animated Series, Gotham Girls, Static Shock, and Justice League.
Yeah, like,
Um,
literally. I mean, anytime you saw Harley Quinn from 1992 to
that was her. Yeah,
2011, it was her.
that was her.
And then
Oh
every
wow! I
iteration
just saw
since
this.
then.
I just saw this. She was still on Days of Our Lives until 2010. So she
What?
was doing Harley Quinn and this. Yeah.
No way.
Yes. According to Wikipedia, that's what it says.
And
Yeah, she was just an amazing person.
I actually have this exact pose. Was one of the Batman black and white statues, and I have this because it's just such a iconic pose
It's
with
one of
the
the.
gun and everything. It's got the smoke. It's awesome.
Oh, I love it.
But
I love her character. I love her character. I think she did great. So let me ask you this. So this was our childhood Harley Quinn. The new Harley Quinn show, you and I are both big fans of.
oh yeah,
Do you think Kaylee Kuko is doing like Arleen Sorkin's voice to Harley Quinn justice? Or is it
no,
just a
I
completely
think
different character?
yeah, I think is it Kaylee or Haley? Kaylee.
Kaylee Kuko.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Kaylee's kind of like obviously it's inspired by her. Like everyone that's tried to do Harley does that high pitch.
Yeah.
So you can definitely tell that Kaylee's doing that, but she's not doing it
Yeah.
as like you definitely like it's not like Tara Strong where like Tara Strong is absolutely doing an impersonation of
Yes.
Arleen. Like
But
100%.
that's what Tara Strong excels at. Like she's great at
Oh, she's
either
let's be
either
honest, she's
making
one
her
of the
own
best
character.
female voice actors
one
of
of
all
the
time. Like
Absolutely. And she's in like everything.
Yeah.
Literally everything you could think of.
it's funny when you think about voice actors because like when it comes down to it, there's probably like 5 that have voiced almost every character in your entire childhood.
Oh man, like yeah, like it's
Like Phil Lamar. Phil Lamar has voiced almost half of
everything.
half of everything I've ever watched. Phil Lamar's either in or like
Yeah.
I mean from
true.
video games to so like Tara Strong's just like that, but she's
It's like
absolutely doing
yeah.
an impersonation. Whereas Kaylee, I think, is kind of I love the show because Kaylee made it like her own. Like it's
yeah.
this
Me too.
wacky,
Me too.
crazy
All
like
over the
satire
place.
of DC. I don't know if you've been keeping up on the
Yeah.
latest season, but it's just
I haven't watched the latest
insane.
season, no. Yeah, I'm sure it is.
You know, so it's a lot of fun. I know it's not for everybody, but I do enjoy it. And then there was the other, actually now that I think about it, holy shit, the other chick from Big Bang Theory also played Harley Quinn in one of the movies.
yes.
I think it was Batman and Harley Quinn or something like that with Nightwing, where she bangs Nightwing.
Yes,
Or-
it is. Yes, it is. Oh my god, where Swamp Thing is in the movie.
Yes. So that's funny. I
What is the
didn't
name of the
realize.
movie?
I think it's just
What is the
Batman
name
and
of the
Harley
movie?
Quinn.
Is it just Batman and Harley Quinn?
I
I
think so.
it is.
They weren't doing anything. There's no crazy title to that. Yeah, no, it's just called
Yeah,
Batman Harley Quinn. That's it. There's nothing else.
That's Melissa Ranch. Yes, Batman Harley Quinn. Yeah,
And
Melissa Ranch.
That was that movie exists.
It's fine. It's a fine movie. Maybe her sleeping with Nightwing wasn't exactly,
I mean, sleeping
on
with
the docket.
Nightwing
Put it there.
made more sense than when.
When
see, this is
Batgirl sleeps with Batman.
yeah
in Killing Joke.
in the Killing
Yeah.
Joke like that.
So
I have
bad.
never been taken out of a Batman movie so fucking fast ever into like that. I was like, this is
Batman
so.
Gotham Knight is not that bad.
I mean, that's still pretty bad. But yeah, I remember like when that happened, I was like, why?
Mhm.
Why
is this
one
happening?
this scene like it's not even from the comics. It adds nothing. It added
Yeah.
nothing to that story other than like we wanted to add like 2 more minutes to the runtime. It was so nonsense, and I've always hated that aspect, even in the animated series. I don't know why Bruce Timm and Paul Dini always kind of played with. They kind of had a relationship because I never believed that Bruce would ever do that to Dick. Because at the end of
Yeah.
the day, that's his dad. Like they're a father son, whether it's adopted or not. Like that's his fucking
Yeah.
dad, and I just never could believe that Bruce would be that disconnected to just be like, yeah, I'm gonna bang your. I mean, your most iconic love interest. Obviously, now they moved on to Starfire for the most part, but at that time, it was always, Grayson and Babs. Like I couldn't.
Yeah.
I could never buy it. So like at least in the
Yeah,
animated
no, I
series, it
agree.
was always kind of hinted at, but they never like really like did it. Like there were some hints here and
Yeah.
there. But then when, there's like, oh, we're gonna do Batman Killing Joke and Bruce Timm is gonna do it, and he was just like, this is my
I
chance.
remember when we watched that.
It's like, what
I remember when we watched that. We're just like, what? Why is this
Yeah,
happening?
that's
Why is this happening? It's like the first half of the movie should just not exist. But
But
yeah, no, going back to Harley Quinn. No, in Arleen really like she really like she gave that character her voice. Like it really like whenever I read anything with Harley Quinn in it or I see a comic with her in it, that's the voice I hear. Like
oh yeah,
it's
for sure.
just
And every
there's no other.
the only time there's been a voice a different take that I actually really enjoyed, only just because I watch a lot of the cutscenes on YouTube. I didn't play the game, but the latest what is it, Gotham Knights game? Is that what the new game that just came out? That's
Yeah,
there's
where
a
he
scene
plays, like,
between
Nightwing and-
there's a scene where Nightwing like visits Harley Quinn in jail, and like their interactions and the voice actress that plays her, like really, it's like a completely different take, like altogether.
Yeah.
Because like I like that too, because not a lot of people play into the shrink aspect of it. Like Harley is insanely intelligent.
People forget.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
people forget
she's
that
pretty
about
much
her.
the smartest person in the room a lot of the times.
Yeah.
She's just insane.
She was always like she knew that the Joker's plans were always going to fail, but she was so infatuated with him that she always did anything to make him happy, no matter what. So if he had to believe in his plan, she believed in it as well. Like that was just how she was. She was so psychotic that is her entire motivation.
Chris, do you like the new Harley Quinn show on HBO Max? Oh, I'm sorry, Max. They dropped the HBO.
Yeah, on Max, bro. It's not HBO. They dropped the HBO part.
But yeah, I dig it, and it is really crazy to see that this character has become so popular and now so mainstream that it's still it's so popular that she doesn't even do the Joker anymore. Like she's just her own thing now. Like it does. It's pretty crazy to see the evolution of a character like that.
The fact that an animated character was able to be brought to life in a comic book format because it was so good that I mean that's never happened before. It's just you basically like you created time travel. Like I don't know.
Yeah, they certainly didn't put Richard Pryor in the comics after Superman 3. So it doesn't always work. It doesn't work all the time.
What an analogy! Oh man, wow, what an analogy! Touche, sir.
And then there's another sad weekend because she had just passed, and then I know this is completely not nerd related in any way, but Bob Barker passed away, and
Bob Barker, yes,
yes, he did. That's like a really sad one for me because honestly, I don't have a lot of great memories of like with my mom, but man, I remember watching The Price is Right all the time with my mom and my grandma. Like,
dude,
so
he is daytime television, man. Yeah,
like Bob Barker has a special place in my heart, and that, I think he was he 99? He was old, right? He was up there, yeah. So like he lived an incredible life, and he did it for so long. Basically, he was essentially like the Mr. Rogers of game shows. Like just
99,
that
99 years old, yeah.
Transcended, just unbelievable. So it's definitely a sad weekend for some of the celebrities that we've grown up with.
Yeah, for us kids that watch TV a lot of the time in the afternoon. No, you're right. Bob Barker really, he was The Price is Right. Like, like there's really like no question. Like, and for a lot of people and a lot of kids, especially, like that was their babysitter for a little while, Like,
yeah, man, Price is Right was, honestly, I've watched that for years.
Yeah. It's just, it's special that way, and that's why like a lot of these, when you see a lot of these celebrity deaths that like people are like, oh, well, why do you care so much? Well, like they're just, because now that person isn't here anymore, but they've left such a legacy, like Kevin Conroy,
Yeah.
He's passed away as well. He will never voice the voice of Batman, but he will always be the voice of Batman. Everybody will try to do their best, to replicate that, and I think Bruce Greenwood did a great job in later.
Bruce Greenwood is
like that.
definitely the successor. If they ever
Oh
wanted
yeah,
to just be like name another guy that's going to be Batman and everything, like it would.
yeah,
Bruce Greenwood
yeah,
has my vote for sure.
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Although you know
But
what's also crazy, like Troy Baker, man. Troy Baker
Troy
also
Baker.
does.
Oh,
He does Mark
in
Hamill's
Turtles.
Joker
Yeah.
and Batman,
Yes.
and like he does them
Yes.
both almost perfectly to
So
the point where
well.
you gotta like,
So
wait,
well.
who is that? Oh, it's Troy. Oh,
Yeah.
Troy Baker's doing both of them. Oh, okay.
How did
Like,
you feel about Jensen Ackles playing the voice
oh,
of
I love it.
Batman?
I
He
am.
was great too.
I,
Dude, he was. You ever read an interview of how he got that job? He was like, "Yes, I'll do it. I'll do it. Whatever you
yeah,
need me to
yeah,
do. How else you
absolutely.
want to do it?
Yeah,
You want to do anything?"
I love
I
that
heard they
he's
are moving
finally got
forward
a.
with him.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's doing. He's in another movie, another animated movie,
Mhm.
and then there are rumors that he's finally going to be Batman in James Gunn's.
I hope so.
We'll see,
I hope
man.
so. I'm interested
I
to see
do
what he
too,
looks like.
man. To that's like one of those dream castings of, he has the look, and now that he's voiced him a couple times, like people will like identify him as
Yeah,
Batman, and he's such a
yeah.
mega fan that like he's gonna put
He's gonna
everything
do
he
it
has
justice.
into
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And especially like coming off of The Boys, like he's kind of at that peak of his career where
Dude,
you would hit a good stride with
so
him being Batman.
he was he's big with me because I watched all of Supernatural.
Oh yeah, and
And
yeah, Supernatural's
he
what,
is
15, 18 seasons or
no,
something like
I
that.
think I think it is 15 seasons.
Oh, it's definitely at least
Um
15. Like, dude, it was on for a long time.
it's a long it's a long time. Supernatural season. Yeah, 15. 15 was the final season. Uh yeah, it's definitely I could definitely see it. I could definitely see him doing it. But I hope that these voice actors that we know we love and they leave their legacy behind. Like when there's a great person that brings those characters to life for us, like they may be gone, but they're here forever. You
Yeah.
know, Arleen Sorkin will always be Harley Quinn, like always. Like her voice will live on in my head forever. You know.
Oh yeah, man, for sure. Um, and then I guess we'll move on to our last segment of the night. This is gonna be a quick one, but I don't know if you guys know. And finally, something Godzilla related. I know we saved it for last.
You stuck
Uh,
around. If you stuck
yeah.
around, thank you.
um, so the Godzilla US store is opening. I believe it's tomorrow. Yes, it is tomorrow.
Where is this located?
So the U.S. store, if you guys are not familiar, the Godzilla store typically has exclusives, and it's obviously a Japanese website, and you can use Bai to get it. So now we're finally getting a Godzilla U.S. store that we can purchase from directly. And there,
It's huge.
no, this is like kind of like this is as basically as mainstream as Godzilla is ever going to be, probably in the States, where I don't know, I believe they are getting different exclusives because obviously it says get ready for exclusives, baby. So, you know, X Plus, Marathon, several other companies like on the Japanese site, which they just announced a couple new stuff. So this is the
Ooh.
if you're not familiar with this, again, this is the Japanese Godzilla store. If you haven't followed them already, definitely follow them because they do these like live streams at, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the morning if you can stay up. But they do show off new stuff that's hitting the store soon. And this is, I believe this is also done by Black Dragon, which is kind of weird because it's absolutely based on the Yuji Sakai model kit that was based on the poster for GMK. Which would be really cool if this is the first release and they're actually going to release like a King Ghidorah, Mothra, and a Baragon to complete the poster to make that diorama. That'd be really cool. But this isn't going to be a garage kit. This isn't like an X Plus vinyl or anything like that. And then the Godzilla 75, Mecha Godzilla 75, and Titanosaurus are all just been released on the Godzilla store as well as new Bandai variants. So if you did just buy the, what is that, Robot Dream version, and probably paid a pretty penny for it. I'm sorry because these just came out. But yeah, so Godzilla Store exclusives open tomorrow in the US. As you can clearly see, that is a Marasan Hedora, so Marasan's gonna be in there. Um, maybe Spiral Toy will be in there. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know. Exclusives. So this is really cool though. I can't wait to see what launches tomorrow and what is available. Because again, now like the gates are kind of wide open. Because I know even with the Godzilla Store in Japan, that was another way to get exclusives done was go through them if you were in Japan. Like that's what Marasan was doing and some other companies. So now on the US side, like it might be the same thing. Like you might see stuff from Mondo and Super 7, Mezco, again, Spiral. It's going to be really cool to see. I'm super pumped about it. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Amandro. I kind of just totally ran with that entire thing, but
no,
yeah.
that's okay. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But that's huge though. Finally being able to like something more local, for lack of a better description.
Well, yeah. Now, like you don't have to go through hoops to order it either. Like, they're gonna take care of everything. So everyone's gonna ship everything to the Godzilla Store, and then the Godzilla Store is gonna ship it to you, and that's it.
That's great. That's great.
Are they
gonna have like? You think they'll have like a brick and mortar location, like something where people could go in and see the statues and see what's going on?
It's very possible because I know the Osaka one is one of the bigger ones. I think there's 2 or 3 in Japan total. Mm-hmm. I think, but I know Osaka for sure is the biggest one. So it very well could be that. I know the Godzilla Store the US Godzilla Store had a pop up a couple times here and there over the last couple years. So it's very possible.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
It's very possible that they open up because I know like Toho US is in California, so I would not be shocked to see a California Godzilla Store open up at all. That would be really cool.
I wouldn't be surprised to see it in New York City, man. There has been a ton of random stuff just opening up.
Just knock down that Toys R Us. No one goes there anymore anyway. Just like,
don't you know it's Jeffrey's something or other toy shop? Or
yeah, it's a disgrace. Is what it is. It's not even Toys R Us anymore. Well, get rid of FAO Swartz. Get rid of FAO Swartz. Turn it to the Godzilla Store.
Dude, funny enough, I walked by there once during the holiday season, and the friggin' line was like 4 blocks down.
Well, because it's like, one of the only toy stores left, man.
Yeah,
like
sad.
That's
why that's why I'm saying, like, if there would be a brick and mortar shop here, we're taking a trip. Let's go.
Absolutely. I would absolutely go if it's wherever. I mean, we'll do a whole freaking live stream
that incentive. Yeah, that whole incentive to go to like the store and like go to the toy store and find the toy and like, and you just don't get that anymore,
Yeah. Oh, Bill, the GMK is a 20 centimeter. I don't know, man. I'm kind of glad things are getting small again in detail. Like honestly, my collection is getting massive to the point where there's gonna be some good stuff on sale for the. There's gonna be some good stuff going up on either on the site, and obviously our 100th episode is coming up next Sunday.
Oh man,
Dad ordered us tuxedo shirts. I'm pretty excited about it. So we're gonna have tuxedo shirts. We're gonna have Domino's pizza. Like it's, maybe we'll even get a couple guests to hop on and just say hi and whatnot. We'll see how it goes, but I'm pretty excited about it. Well, probably gonna announce our giveaway. I don't know, maybe tomorrow, probably Tuesday. I kind of want to. Every day there's gonna be something leading into Sunday. At least that's how I want to do it. Of course, I picked the greatest time to get sick as usual. I'm shocked I've made it this far through this show without collapsing. It's been great. No, dude, I don't know if I'm actually about to take a COVID test to see if it's that, which if it is, then, it is what it is. It will just go away, but I don't know if
nobody's getting pineapple over here. Nobody's getting pineapple.
Oh, no, we're absolutely getting pepperoni and pineapple. Are you out your mind? That's the staple of Kaiju. No, you stop. You stop. That's a staple.
Pineapple on pizza?
Yes.
Oh, no,
me and my dad get pepperoni and pineapple Actually,
Oh,
we used to get just the traditional ham and pineapple, but then it was Bill that was like, "Yo, you gotta try it with pepperoni." And man, he didn't miss. It was absolutely
life
fantastic.
changing.
It was
Life
actually.
changing.
It was like why? Because now you get like a little bit of spicy and a little bit of sweet. Mm, mm,
Mm-mm.
mm, mm, mm.
I don't like pineapple in general, but anyway.
Ironically, neither do I. But on pizza, I like it. um,
Oh yeah.
but this is great news, man. It's kind of
No, it's
crazy
exciting.
because like my entire collecting life has been always either trying to find a connection in Japan, Yahoo Japan auctions, our early stages was eBay.
Yeah.
If you didn't know someone in Japan, or again, those two avenues at a time, like there was pretty much no chance unless you happened to get lucky that one of your local comic book shops brought some stuff in and had a connection, which is super rare because like
it's been getting more prevalent. I've noticed like a lot of the brick and mortar shops, whether they be comic books or hobby shops, or they've been getting more of the collectible statues, whether they be like Godzilla or anime or things like that.
Well, that's how I got
You're
into
seeing a lot
statues
more of
was
it.
Fourth World Comics by me out in Smithtown. Like
Oh my God, I forgot about Fourth World.
their entire like upper row was always just statues. And I was as a little kid, I was just always blown away. Like one day, I hope I can get one of those. And
Is
now
that still there? Is Fourth World still there?
absolutely, Fourth World's still.
Yeah.
The owner passed it
I
down
haven't
to
been
his
there in
son,
years.
man. No, yeah, it ain't going nowhere, man. That place is.
Thank God.
That place is my,
Good for them.
that and like Midtown Comics are
Midtown
staples of
Comics
the New York area, basically.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, like
You're
Bill
right,
says,
Bill.
like it could open it's gonna open the door for a lot of people because now if it operates the same way as the Japan store, and with like exclusives and stuff like that, it should make it easier for people to have opportunities to potentially release something licensed by going through the store. So it's really exciting, man.
No, that's great. Honestly,
Like I said, I wouldn't be shocked. Don't be shocked if you see something from Mondo or Spiral or
yeah.
I guarantee that Hedora is coming tomorrow. What's on screen right now, whatever this Marasan Hedora is. And the only thing that I hope they're different though. I really do hope like they're not just like okay, they're gonna have it on both sites. I hope like the U.S. store has its own stuff versus the Japanese store. Just to make it different.
Well, it
like
says exclusives.
Well, I mean, but the Godzilla
Whatever that
store is
means.
still the Godzilla store. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so is it
you never know.
exclusive to just the U.S. one? So I
Or
do
is it
hope
just
it's
a tagline like
yeah.
like hey, like a jingle, like get ready for exclusives.
But yeah, it's never been a better time. Like the only thing that sucks about being a fan right now is the economy is trash. That's probably
That is correct. That is
it's
correct.
becoming harder and harder to really try to collect a whole line of something right now. Like honestly, the Power Ranger statues that we just uploaded the short for and everything like that. I bought that thing like 2 years ago. I completely forgot how much it even cost. Like I would never even consider buying that now.
Yeah.
At that price tag. Because it's just like it's tough right now. And everyone's hurting, but I'm always gonna find a way to buy a Godzilla toy. You know what I mean? There's always a little room in that budget somehow to be able to snatch something you like.
The problem is you put these on the show, and Kelly's just telling you, where are these gonna go? Where is this going?
Well, actually, I got to measure. I think because I have a couple like placeholders in these Besta cabinets. I'm pretty sure he can fit in the middle. I just got to double check to see how
tall he is.
How tall he is with the sword. Because that might be the only thing. I might just have to take the sword out and just like lay it at his feet or something like that, which isn't the end of the world.
Put it upside down.
Oh yeah. Actually, that's a great idea.
See if you can do it upside down. Yeah.
He would definitely
Reverse
fit
grip.
if it's upside down for sure.
Yeah, reverse grip that shit.
But
yeah.
And then we're
I
gonna.
think that's
Yeah, that's about it. The Oh, before we go, I want to just even though we really don't have anyone watching right now, but for the 8 people that have pretty much stuck here the whole time, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it.
I did this show for you guys because there were like 7 times where I thought about canceling today because I like couldn't even get out of bed. I'm probably calling into work tomorrow because this is probably gonna kill me and my voice is already going. Some cool stuff that's coming to the channel. We have a new segment that we're going to be introducing called what are you calling it, Avandro? Kaiju in Review?
Kaiju in Review.
Where Avandro is going to set on a journey to basically watch every Godzilla movie in order. And then I'm going
an American
to
version and a Japanese version.
Yes, there's gonna. We should take a poll on that. Get the audience into it. Like which actual? Because I know obviously the first one, 85. I think Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster is another one where the sub and the dub are 2 completely different movies.
Completely different films.
So it'd be cool to get like everyone's opinions on which ones are the must. You gotta watch both because they're different movies. So that's a cool segment that's gonna come. So there's 30 somewhat episodes already lined up for that.
Yep.
Another cool segment that we're gonna introduce on like basically Sundays, or might even be a short video. If there's a Monday night or Thursday night game, is I might as well just call him a brother at this point. Brother Chris is going to be joining us for a same old Jet segment where we basically rant about the Jet game.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be short. It's not gonna take up a whole show. It's probably gonna be about like 10, maybe 15 minutes, depending on the game. Because so that should be great. Because he's a really funny guy, and those should be some legendary stuff. And then we're gonna keep doing how we're doing with this. Hopefully next week I'm feeling better, dude, and we can finally get to filming. We are doing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle video. Not live though. Yeah. We're actually going to start.
No, we're gonna organizing it a little bit.
Yeah, like even the Kaiju in Review, we might not all be live. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to play with the formula a little bit here to add some new cool fun segments to the live show. Obviously, we want to stay Godzilla focused for the live stuff. But sometimes like there's nothing new. Ironically, it's funny that I've been noticing everyone is now talking about that second monster in Godzilla -1. Meanwhile, we talked about it the first week the trailer came out, and everyone's like, "Oh, there might be a second monster." And I'm just like, "That was like a month ago. Where you guys been?" I don't know if it's like one of those like Destiny things where they're just like, "We need content, so let's just make this content. Look, a second monster. Confirmed, leaked."
So let me ask you this. Bill says this. He says, watch the English versions first just to understand the basics. Plus, the dubbing is part of the charm of Godzilla. Yeah, I know. The dubbing for Godzilla has always been...
Jarrell says, do it by eras. Yes, we're starting from 1. With Showa eras first. Yeah. Like, it's starting from 54 and making our way all the way to 75. Then we'll probably take a little bit of a break because that's going to be a hell of a lot of... That's a lot of film. That's a lot of film study right there. We'll get through the Showa era first, and then we'll tackle the Heisei series second. Might skip the Millennium series. Maybe.
You know what I'm very excited for? No, we're not skipping that. We're not skipping that because I've never seen Godzilla 2000, and I want to know why you love it so much.
Oh, okay. All right. No, that'd be good. That'd be good. Yeah, no, we won't skip anything. You know what I do want to watch?
Watch it all the way through.
Not movie related. I do want to watch the entire Godzilla 1998 animated series together. I think that would be.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That would be interesting to do like an in-depth review and coverage of that because it's been a while.
Yeah. Terrell says skip all monsters attack.
No, you can't skip that. No, absolutely
No,
not.
there's no skipping here. There's no skipping
Yeah,
here.
we can't skip it.
Every
So
Godzilla Bill says every Godzilla fan needs to sit through Final Wars at least once.
I'm not watching that with you.
No, you don't have to watch that.
I can't. Final Wars will be like I will watch as many of these with you as possible. Again, that's like the Phantom Menace. You're gonna have to bribe me with like chorizo tacos or something. Yeah, like I need.
Listen, chorizo quesadillas. I got you.
Yeah, if you can make that, I'll watch Final Wars. That's basically the extent of like the only way I would watch that, because it's. Man. I can't wait to see your reaction, because you're gonna be on this journey of taking in all this stuff, and then you're gonna see
Final Wars,
and you're gonna watch GMK. And then the next movie you're going to watch is Final Wars. And I can't wait for you to be like, what in the actual fuck just happened? Because...
Are they sequels?
No. It's just like GMK happened. It was like universally loved because that's the same guy that did the Gamera movies that we also have to watch.
We'll watch that.
And then, Kaiju for the 50th anniversary, they did Final Wars, which was like just this. You'll see. You can't explain it.
All right. I'm ready.
So those are some two fun segments: the Jet segment and then Kaiju in review. And yeah, I'm probably gonna be cutting up some more stuff that we've done that we haven't cut out yet as some main videos, and then the shorts. I love doing these shorts. Avandro helped me with that Power Ranger, the Megazord build, and I think it came out pretty good. Honestly, it's a lot of fun to do. Yeah. And that's how I'm going to. Yeah, that's how I'm going to. I think I'm really going to catalog my entire collection in the shorts. I'm going to create we'll call it Tales of the Turntable short playlist. And it's just going to be me putting every goddamn thing that I have. So, I mean, I got like 2 years worth of content. If I do one a day, yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're going to be a lot of shorts. Yeah, we'll be all right.
Fine. You'll be TikTok famous. No, with no issue.
People be like, what is up with this guy? This guy's got so much shit. That's like the one thing people have always asked me to do, and I have yet to do it, is like a collection video. I've never done a collection video. Now. And it's not because I don't want to do one. It's honestly because the collection is just kind of a mess. I really, anytime, the last time I could say the collection was even worth showing off in like a video format was probably the last time Leslie Chambers was actually here in person. Because I actually went to town and cleaned it up. But that's the thing, because we've had Kaiju Live move a couple times down here. And then like my attic is now full, and now and then the other thing too, like my attic has a kind of like a narrow, like a lot of those attic doors, they're not wide. They're, they kind of like the width of that staircase that drops down. So a lot of these big boxes, like the spiral stuff and stuff like that, don't even fit. I can't even get them into the attic. So like I have nowhere to put these things. So like it's just kind of a mess. I think it's finally time I look into a storage unit just to start storing
boxes.
Yes, like these big boxes, so I can clear up space. Because that's, I mean, when you come down here, like. You kind of come down the stairs and like you're kind of just hit with boxes at first to get to this little studio.
That's all there is.
Yeah,
just cardboard.
Yeah, so I think it's time, when to really start kind of unloading the collection and, really focusing on like the Grail stuff that I have that I really, does it spark joy. And then I think a storage unit's going to play a big part in that process. Yeah.
Once you start going through everything, you're going to look at certain things and you're going to be like I did that with my vinyls. Like I've definitely looked at my vinyls more than once and been like, I don't want this anymore. Like it doesn't do anything. Like, why am I keeping it? I'm never going to open it or anything like that. It's just going to sit in this package, and I'd rather it bring someone else joy over me, Yeah. So I get it.
Yeah, so
I may not collect statues, but I collect a whole other.
I mean, I collected statues mainly DC. It wasn't really until honestly Spiral came along, and was just making incredible stuff where I was like, I've been waiting for this forever because, you know, collecting the DC statues, you know, I don't have a ton of them, but I pretty much have the Justice League for the most part. They
You
never
do
made
have
it.
the Justice
They
League.
never made a Flash premium format that I liked. He's like the only member that I don't have of the
Oh yeah,
core.
yeah. You do have a
Um,
Flash.
like of the core man. I don't have a I'll never get a Martian Manhunter or anything like that. That's and I don't like the character enough to drop that kind of money on. I'm like, yeah. Um, but like, you know, I always wanted, you know, the core of them, but they never did a Flash that ever fit with their original line. Because like their original line of and this is Sideshow Collectibles DC premium format statues was very Alex Rossy. Like they
Really?
have that Alex Ross aesthetic
I love that
to
art
them.
style.
Without being like this is the Alex Ross Superman. Like you look at it, you're like,
Yeah.
that's definitely inspired by the Alex Ross Superman. Same with Wonder Woman, even Aquaman. So like it was weird that they never did a Flash. I remember them constantly doing
They
teases
just
for the
never
Flash.
did a Flash, or you just never
I
got one
think
that you liked.
I think there was a couple times where I think they did two of them and I just didn't like them. Like they
Yeah.
it didn't I think they tried to put him in too much of a dynamic pose where it would kind of contradict the ones that I have. Where like they're in like very traditional superhero poses and it's like, you know, they wanted instead of just having Flash being like upright running, like it was, you know, I don't know, it was just too much. So I just never got one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Tales of the Turntable will be coming. That's going to be the new short playlist. I'm starting to do some vlogs as well. I don't know if we just went to the Harry Potter exhibition yesterday, which almost killed me, but I got through it. Because obviously, you know, we can't refund those tickets and the show must go on. It was awesome, by the way. Are you a Harry Potter fan, Andrew?
Erica really is.
Okay,
So I am by proxy.
gotcha. That's the same for me.
I've read the first book and I've watched all the movies. I've been to Harry Potter World multiple times. I enjoy the universe and I understand why people gravitate towards it. Especially the movies. The movies are so well done. I like all the Harry Potter movies, honestly. The movies are so well done. But as far as like a diehard Harry Potter fan, like, am I getting? Oh, really? You don't like all the movies?
But we're not gonna get into that. That's a whole other discussion. But,
No, that's a segment in and of its own.
but
Star Wars versus
if you are in
Harry
the New
Potter,
York
so-
area, or the tri-state area, and feel like making a trip, if your spouse, your daughter, your child, whatever,
Son.
loves Harry Potter, absolutely go to this thing. This was like this was like a real deal exhibition because I've been to some of these things before, and you're like,
I did a Star Wars.
You feel like you've been like scammed. So you're like, yeah, cool, I came, and like, you know, it's just like it's like
box.
nothing.
It's
Yeah,
one
like
room,
you're just
yeah.
kind of like, all right, yeah. This was
I've done the Star
room-
Wars one. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's done well, it's usually like it's exceptional. Like if it's done
yeah,
well.
like this was if you were a Harry Potter fan, this was crazy because like they had a lot of the props were actually from the movies. They had every house, all the houses had like the main characters and like their outfits like on display and everything like that. You can build your own wand.
Yep.
They had like a room where you create your own potions. Like it was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah,
The Star Wars one didn't have anything like that.
It was awesome.
but
Like you
yeah,
had this
that's
like
cool.
bracelet, and you would always go up to the thing, and it would so you can interact with it or play a game or something like that. It was like it was really cool.
That is cool.
Really
Yeah.
cool. And Abby doesn't even really know Harry Potter. Like this was like Kelly's version of like forcing her to like something she likes, like I do with like Godzilla and Batman. I'm like, hey, watch this.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. It was really cool in the city. And then we went to a place called Blacktop, New York, which was really good. It was like a burger shake place.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Delightful.
I've been there.
Just delightful.
Yeah. It's good.
And like I was good for the first half of the trip, and then like that second half, I was like, I am
I'm
dying.
gonna die.
And that's how you got that beautiful.
I might die here.
That's how you got that beautiful picture of me sleeping on the train.
You goddamn right I do.
Yeah.
Add that to the collection.
Oh, yeah. For those that don't know, Avandro has a very creepy collection of me sleeping. I don't know why.
It's really only because Kelly sends me the pictures all the time because you just pass out like on a dime. Like literally.
Oh yeah, when it's
everybody's
nighttime, it's
talking.
nighttime. Yeah.
When we could be having a conversation, and the next thing I know, you just stop answering because you're sitting up too. You're not even like laying down.
The best
Usually
is
it's like,
the best is the video game one after a wedding. That's the best picture of all time.
yes, the best
In
picture of all
fact,
time. Great.
if you have a good quality picture of
when you
that,
call me.
just post that
I
in the
do.
group. Just post that in the group. Be like you
I will.
missed
I will.
what you missed on the square table. But
Yeah. All right, guys. For all of you that have stayed and watched, thank you. We appreciate it. You know, AJ and I just love to do this.
yeah, man.
Keep doing it. Just have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the format we got's going pretty well, and I'm really enjoying doing it. So
Yeah,
we're gonna keep on keeping on. So as always,
keep it on, keep it on.
like and
As
subscribe,
always.
and be on the lookout for more content from Kaiju Live. Mondro forgot it again.
I didn't. Stop. You're ruining it. You're ruining it. All squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares.
Woo! Have a good night,
All right.
everybody.
Good night.